Thank you, Dr. Walsh. It is always good to be in your company. You always bring together people with expertise and wisdom to help direct things for a better world. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins, for always being there, good brother, peace and love. I'd like to say that as we search for peace and we look at the multiplicity of what is happening around us now. Race is a problem that we do need to address, for it's been there since the 19th century for sociologists to begin to look at it. And in 1903, of course, W.E.B. Du Bois brought to us that it was the problem for the 20th century, the color line problem. And it is still with us today. And I will say here that it is not the only thing to look at, though, when we look at what has happened with the tremendous impact on all of us from the death of Mr. Floyd. That included race, but it also brought us to a problem that existed in the 20th century very heavily for us, police brutality, abuse. But it's being labeled now as murder, and we must look at that. In order to do that and also move towards a trust factor to have justice and to build a strong community, I propose that we take in the wisdom literature of Scripture. And in Proverbs, the 4th chapter, it tells us clearly, get wisdom, get understanding. It advises us never to let them go. And I would say that right now in our nation, our world, but more specifically for our nation, we need wisdom to be guiding all of our leaders of every walk of life. And we need understanding among all people, all of us in existence. I am glad to be co-chair of the American Clergy Leadership Conference with Dr. Ki-Hoon Kim. And he brings to me a wisdom from the teachings that have guided him in the Heavenly Parent Holy Community with Father Moon and Mother Moon, and that teaching that we need to have love, a true love for one another, to build strong, better relationships. I think that that is important, and I want to tell everyone who's listening today why it hits home for Marie, my wife, and I, is that for a long time we searched for such a reality that we have found existing within the Heavenly Parent Holy Community. Being United Methodist, we've worked on various social issues. Social activism is a part of our church's ID. And all of the hoping that people would come together and just love one another. Oh, we could preach it well, we could teach it well, but then to see it lived out was not there. But I have found, and I challenge everybody to get to know, to learn, to gather the wisdom and the understanding about how it came about, that there is in our time in history a people who are living this color line problem is erased. And it's the reality of being existing together and then dealing with the problems that arise, knowing who you are, and then talking in that community together. That's what America should be like. So to get there, I want to join Reverend Smith, who said about the R's, put two more there, that we really ought to be the generation of reconciliation and restoration. I believe that we can get there when all 50 states form a coalition together, coalition of leaders, clergy, community-based organization, law enforcement, all of the community servants agencies getting together, and let us work out, teach one another, teach our young people how to communicate correctly to every form of a hierarchy that may be. And that's what's existing right now in our government arena. and we need to communicate in ways that can bring about a change. But we do not do that individually. We are America. We are people of love. Let us do it together. And then just one last thing I'd like to say as we continue. I've seen, not only with George Floyd, but in 1990, I was at a Los Angeles Dodgers baseball game. There was a young man that was acting kind of rudely in the game. When it was over and I was going out, and this was before Rodney King in LA, this young man was being beaten. I remember a knee being on his back, not his neck, but his back. And I went, being the clergy, just to immediately respond to go over, and an African-American cop stopped me. So 3 white cops were beating a white guy. You see, this type of abuse, it's not about race. It's really about human dignity and love. I want us to end this racial stratification in America, inequality even within our mind, and see that we are people united to be one family under God. Thank you.